We have an additional comment in the chat for you. I think you really helped those women and girls who were abused by Nasser by letting them speak. Young people, especially girls and women, can be overlooked so easily and often are a problem that we need to find solutions for.
Yeah. Again, it's that only thing. They're only women. They're only children. Get rid of the only. We're human beings, and we all need to be treated with respect. And we all need to know that we matter, and we need to help others matter as well. And again, why do we have to explain? Why do we have to be believed? If I say I was raped, people say, really? Well, if I say my house was broken into, they say, let me call the cop for you. What? Okay, why is there that difference? Why does anybody have to explain that they just went through trauma, regardless of what kind? Domestic violence, human trafficking, rape, whatever it is, a wrongful touching on a bus. I've had those cases too. So even a small touching that's unwanted is a crime. Why do we have to explain how it made us feel? Just get us some help.
Yeah, we have to a lot of times convince people and stuff. And, if somebody says, hey, I have cancer, you don't say, oh, I believe you. You just, like that. We talk about how that's what you need to tell survivors is that you believe them. And so it should be that automatic. Yeah, you believe them without having to announce it or tell someone. What behaviors have you seen from survivors, trauma behaviors that have surfaced in your courtroom?
I had a woman a few months ago. We were in a jury trial, and she had been assaulted. And in order for her to talk about it, we had to take breaks about every 15 minutes. It took 2 days to get testimony that if this wasn't a rape, if she wasn't so traumatized, probably would have been about 2 hours. We spent the better part of 2 days listening to 15 minutes at a time and then taking a break for 15 to 30 minutes. And I learned from the prosecutor that during the time that we were off the record, she was on the bathroom floor curled in a ball. I do allow service animals in. I go around to all those seminars that we all go to, and when they have those squeezy balls, I bring them. I grab as many as I can, and I give them to people who are going to testify. Our legislature did our Court of Appeals did a terrible thing, and the legislature has yet to fix it. But in Michigan, an adult is not allowed, when they're testifying like for sexual assault or any kind of trauma, they're not allowed a service dog. Now, if they're blind, that's different. But they're not allowed a service dog because the Court of Appeals said, well, that could gain sympathy, which is not an element of the crime, from the jury, which is absolutely crazy. However, if you're a child, they will allow the dog to be with you. That's a little bit crazy. Actually, it's a lot crazy. When the dogs come in, they lay at the person's feet while they testify. They're hardly noticeable, but it does make that person who's testifying and who's gone through trauma so much more comfortable. And I see the difference. And so our legislature hopefully will catch up and undo the wrong that was done. But, I saw a woman who was traumatized by being raped. She was supposed to testify, and she came in with a blood alcohol level of a 0.38. I would be dead at that point. Clearly she had a drinking problem, but it doesn't matter. She came in and she was totally smashed. And so I actually had to hold her in contempt and put her in lockup until which I know sounds harsh, but given the circumstances, I had to do that. They cleaned her up. We got her sober. And then she was able to testify. And then she continued in jail until I put her in the hospital because the withdrawal was so bad, and her kids were actually very happy she went to be dried out. They were hoping that she would stay dried out, but because of the rape and because of other trauma that happened to her, she just couldn't stay sober. I suspect she is no longer living, but we did get her to testify. And while she was in that drunken state, she also had a worry rock, which I don't allow in my courtroom anymore. I tell people to get any of those other therapy kinds of things, the squeezy balls or what have you. But what she did was threw the rock at me. She was so mad at the justice system. She threw the rock at me. Now she missed because she was too drunk, but I've seen all sorts of different reactions. I've also witnessed, and juries don't always understand this, but sometimes victims laugh, and laughing doesn't mean they weren't raped. Laughing is a response to being raped. Some people cry, some people laugh. There's all sorts of things that happen when someone's raped. Another thing that has happened is under cross-examination, and I hate seeing this, but we know it happens. Defense counsel will say, well, if this really happened, you would have reported it when it happened. Now, what people also need to be trained on and informed on is that your body is really, really smart. So when you're being attacked, when you're at gunpoint, when you're being, your breasts are being cut, whatever the trauma is that someone's doing to you, the last thing you're going to think about is, oh, I'm being raped. Your body, your brain goes into, oh, I want to save my life. So they might not even remember for months or years that they were raped. They might not remember half the things that have happened to them. I've seen women come in with cut breasts, cigarette burns, bruised head to toe, teeth missing, all of those things. And the last thing they talk about is being raped because they just wanted to live. And our bodies are so smart. God made them to say, I want to live. And so we see this coming out in court.
Mm-hmm. What can the average person do to help fix the inequities and shortcomings in the judicial system?
Lobby for change, talk to your legislators. When you see a wrong, you can always report a judge to Judicial Tenure Commission, to the Supreme Court. There's the State Court Administrator's Office. You can work with your legislature to tell them your story, make it personal, or your friend's story or your daughter's story, and ask for changes legislatively. We don't have enough of that. And legislators, they focus on the popular items. And sadly, women, we're just not popular, are we? We're just those loud people who bear babies and clean houses, right? A lot of the legislators are men and they don't want to hear from us. I worked on the Senate floor for a decade at a time when there were only 3 women on the Senate floor. And I was one of them. And, the legislators, the female legislators, there were 2 at the time. Actually, there were 3 female legislators and there were 2 staff people. Those were the only females on the floor for many years. And I watched as the female legislators would have to scream at the top of their lungs so that they could actually make a record, because the men would not respect them enough to shut up and let them speak. Mm-hmm. So, get in someone's face, get together. When someone knocks on your door for a lawn sign, say, this is the legislation I need. When are you going to pass it? Learn a little bit about the legislative process. The funny thing is, a legislator will tell you, yeah, I'll put in the bill request. I'll see, it'll take about 4 months. No, it won't. They each get priority bills. They can have it within 2 to 3 days or sooner. Then they'll say, well, it's stuck in committee. Well, it's not stuck in committee. All you have to do is go to the floor and make a motion.